and protections that apply to each of these cases. Each case has these individual rights and protections. Number one, you have a right to remain silent. That means you do not have to make statements. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to submit written papers with your signature, especially papers that admit or confess to wrongdoing. Do you understand you have that right to remain silent?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to a jury trial, a trial before 6 people that would have been selected by your attorney and you and the state on the other side. That selection would be from a panel of disinterested jurors. They would hear the evidence in this case and decide whether you're guilty or not guilty on each individual case. That you have that right. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to confront witnesses. Again, on each individual case, if you went to trial, you and your attorney would have the right to cross-examine, question, or challenge any witness who would testify. That's called the right to confront, or the right of confrontation of witnesses. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
There's a right called the right to appeal. That right, you can use it by yourself, or your attorney by himself, or you two together, wherein you would demand that a higher court would review the official record in this case, the evidence, and the results. The demand for that would have to follow certain rules on substantive documents, or even on the timelines. There's time limits involved. That's called the right to appeal, generally speaking. Do you understand that?
Sir.
It applies to each individual case. Then you have a right to a public courtroom hearing. It is called for in the Constitution and the laws. That right, you have it, and the state has it. Each one of you has an individual right to demand that all these proceedings be held in the open public courtroom. Because of the COVID pandemic, that's not being done, but you still have the right to demand it. And the opposite of that is that you can consent in each individual case to doing this like we're doing now. It's called a video conference. And that video conference is being streamed or transmitted over the YouTube, which means anyone in the world can tune in and see all of us that are participating. The materials, can hear everything. Do you understand you have that right?
Yes, sir.
And it applies to each individual case. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, those rights, if you persist in a plea, you give up those rights for each case in which you plead. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you review those rights and discuss those rights with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I'm going to show you a series of documents. Those documents apply to each case in which you are entering a plea. Those documents start off, each of the documents, with one exception, starts up at the top with what I call identifying information. This first one is on case 626868. That is with a charge of driving while intoxicated. It says the state of Texas versus Samantha Nicole Molina in County Court at Law Number 5, Bexar County, Texas. Now, after that identifying information, you have the title of the particular document. This one says State's Consent to Video Conference. The title of the document is in all capitals, bold print. Do you see that this one talks about the state's right to have this in the open public court? And they're
Yes.
giving it up. They're giving it up, and the individual that signed up on behalf of the district attorney and the state is Andrew Harris Adelman. Did you review that with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Now, this applies to 626868, and it will also apply to case number 628644.
Okay.
All right. Now, the next document for each case is 626868. Again, the identifying information. The document is titled Discovery Acknowledgement. There is a law, it's called Article 39.14 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. This law in the state of Texas demands that the state prosecutors, the state's attorneys, submit or give access to all of the information involved in the case, documents, receipts, videos, whatever is involved. And they have to provide that to you and your attorney. This document is signed by your attorney and Mr. Edelman for the state. They say in there that that law has been obeyed, that the state has provided to you the information that's required by law. Did you see and understand that?
Yes, sir.
This next document, again with identifying information, this is your document wherein you consent to video conference. Did you see and understand it? And you signed it. You signed it, rather.
Yes, sir.
All right. The next document is called Defendant's Waiver of Constitutional Rights and Court's Admonitions. This is case number 626868. There's another one like this, similar to it on a different charge,
Yes, sir.
628644. The title, after the title, it starts off with 3 sentences. It says what you're charged with, driving while intoxicated, that you know that's what it is. You don't need me to read it to you. It says that you hereby enter a plea of nolo contendere to driving while intoxicated. This particular charge or document on a nolo contendere, the court takes that as a guilty plea and it's sufficient for me to convict you on that. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The rest of this document is divided into 15 portions or divisions. The first one, number 1, each one is numbered. Number 1 talks about the range of punishment, the amount of punishment you can get. And there's a check mark right next to it, the only check mark on a series of vertical little boxes. DWI first is punishable by $0 to $2,000 fine and jail 72 hours to 180 days in jail. Did you see and understand that?
Yes, sir.
Right, number 2 talks about, again, the right to a jury trial, cross-examination of witnesses, and the right to, guess what? Remain silent.
Yes,
All right, now, did you read every one of these paragraphs or sections with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about them?
No, sir.
All right. Go ahead and scroll. I'll point out to you that number 15, ma'am, it talks about the law requires or you can demand what's called a risk and needs assessment. And by signing this document, you're giving up all these different rights and you understand what it says, number 1 through 15. Have you ever been involved with a sex offender registration program?
No, sir.
All right. So you have signed all these documents. Did you have any questions that you asked your attorney?
No, sir.
All right. This document that you're being shown now has identifying information like the others. This one, the title is Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. The 5th box says, I am certifying as a judge. It will be checked out. This is a plea bargain agreement and the defendant has no right of appeal. That applies to any and all cases that you're pleading on. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And you reviewed it and you have signed it with your attorney.
Yes, sir.
All right. The next document, it'll be brought up to us shortly. I have to reload it.
No problem.
This is case number 626-868. It's the title of this is the plea agreement. The identifying information identifies you by name and the case number. It doesn't mention county court number 5, but that's not, it has no difference here because it's in this court. The first 2 boxes will be check marked. The first box, guess what it talks about? The right to remain silent. It reminds you and repeats it. Then it has defendant is a U.S. citizen. Where were you born, ma'am?
Corpus Christi, Texas.
That means you're a U.S. citizen. The
Yes,
next section is divided into 5 parts, little boxes with check marks. Did you and your attorney check those off?
Yes, sir.
You understood what it says, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, this immediate section now in front of you says DWI specific allegation. This is a DWI first, as alleged, and to which you said you were pleading nolo contendere. Officially, what is your plea to that charge, ma'am?
Is it the same thing? Guilty.
Mr. Langwa, your papers show nolo contendere. I don't.
We'll do nolo contendere. I've explained to her that would result in a guilty plea.
Okay. Ms. Molina,
Yes, sir.
you understand that there is a little bit of difference, but the court takes a nolo contendere as a guilty plea.
Yes,
But
sir.
there is a difference for reasons that your attorney can explain to you in detail.
Okay.
All right. Now, the court orders you to appear in the offices of County Court of Law number 5 within 7 days. I need you to submit a thumbprint to the papers as required by law, okay? So
Okay, well, there's like an officer here to arrest me, so I don't know if those 7, I'm gonna meet the deadline.
no, these are going to be a thumbprint on these papers that we're talking about here.
Okay. No, I'm just saying, like, there's an officer here to arrest me right now, like, after we're done with this, so I don't know if the 7 days, if I'm gonna have the 7 days, because they're gonna take me to jail.
Okay, well, we'll look into that, or I'm sure your attorney will.
Judge, if we make a bond, then we'll have send her over to the County Court 5 and the documents. Correct. Give a thumbprint.
All
Excuse
right.
me, Judge, I can't understand that.
Yeah, it was a little bit garbled, Richard.
Sorry, Judge. Given the situation where she has an outstanding warrant, she's going to be taken to jail today, but she'll probably be bonded out the next day or so, or today. And then when she gets out, we'll advise her to go to County Court 5 and let the bailiff know that she needs to sign or give a fingerprint for the documents.
All right. These documents are separate and apart. They'll be here in the court's offices, and you're required to come and submit a thumbprint. They'll help you here. They'll know which documents have to have your thumbprint. They're the documents of this particular case and your plea. Is that all? You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, back to the plea agreement, Patty. All right. Now, based on your plea of nolo contendere, I find that you are guilty. You're sentenced to 1 day Bexar County Jail, a fine of $0, 0 cents, 0 court costs, credit for time served, time and money run concurrent. You will forfeit the weapon in case number 626-869 and 635310. They're two separate weapons and they will be forfeited. The court finds, let's see. It doesn't say it, Mr. Abelman, but is this a pretty obviously a
Yes, Your Honor, that's an oversight on my part. The state intends that this satisfy the judgment.
right? Okay. All right. So the court finds that in this case, 626-868, the defendant, Ms. Molina, has satisfied the judgment. You, on this case, 626-868, you owe nothing further to the state of Texas or to the court. Now, on this case, you are free. Patty,
Thank you,
do you
sir.
have 628-644?
Your Honor, did you forgot to mention the TIC part right here?
Well, it doesn't say it here. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. In exchange for this plea on 626-868, the court takes into consideration and hereby dismisses 626-869, 635-310, and 658-466. Now, let's take up 628-644. The court calls officially 628-644. This is the state of Texas versus Samantha Nicole Molina in County Court Law number 5, Bexar County, Texas. Ms. Molina, you understand you're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
All right. This first document is the same as the other document, but this is on a separate case. This is state's consent to video conference. We talked about that we're not, the law and constitution says to do these things in public court. This is the right of the state to demand that, and they consent to do this in video conference as we just finished the other case. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Then the discovery acknowledgement on this particular case, it's the same document as the previous case, but a different case number and different charge.
Yes, sir.
This one is signed by the state's attorney and your attorney. Then we have the defendant's consent to video conference. That's yours again in this particular case, because these rights apply to each individual case. This particular case, you're saying that you are giving consent to do this by video conference.
Yes, sir.
Then we have the defendant's waiver of constitutional rights and court's admonitions. Again, these are the same rights, but this is a separate case. This one, you're charged with theft, $100 to $750. You declare that you hereby enter a plea of nolo contendere to theft, $100 to $750. Again, the rest of this document is divided into 15 sections or departments. This particular charge is a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by a fine from $0 to $2,000 and jail 0 days to 180 days. These are, again, the exact same duplicate of the other document, the same rights, same questions. Did you review this particular set of documents in 628-644 with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about these documents?
No, sir.
And you did sign them and so did your attorney.
Yes, sir.
This is again, this next document, again, identifying information. This is the trial court's, my certification to you regarding your right of appeal. The 5th box says this is a plea bargain case and the defendant has no right of appeal. That applies to this particular case. Did you understand that?
Yes, sir.
You reviewed it and you signed it with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now we got to reload the computer again. We're almost through, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. This document now is a plea bargain, pardon me, a plea agreement. This says the state of Texas versus Samantha Nicole Molina, case number 628644. This is the one that's a theft charge. The first two paragraphs will be checked off, just like the other document, previous case. Then we have the section defendant's acknowledgements, where you have checked off 5 boxes, and each one has a specific statement concerning different rights and protections that you understand.
Yes, sir.
This section here says that you're charged with theft. It identifies that with a check mark next to the word theft. So to this particular charge, ma'am, how do you plead?
No, the contender.
Contendory.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Based on your plea of nolo contendory, you know that the court can find you guilty just on your plea of nolo contendory. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. On this particular case, just like the other one, I require you to appear in court to a place within 7 days to have placed on the documents required by law your thumbprint.
Yes, sir.
And again, this repeats that the cases 626-869, 635-310, and 658-466 are taken in consideration in exchange for this plea.
Yes, sir.
So officially, to the charge of theft, 100 to 750, how do you plead, ma'am?
No contender.
All right. Based on your plea and the evidence, I find you guilty and I sentence you to 1 day, Bexar County Jail, a fine of $0 plus court costs, credit for time served, time and money run concurrently. You will forfeit, again, it requires you to forfeit the weapons in cases number 628-869 and 635-310.
Similarly, Your Honor, we intend that this satisfy the judgment.
All right. Based on the evidence in your agreement, the court finds that you have satisfied this judgment. You owe nothing further to the state of Texas or to this court on this particular charge.
Yes, sir.
Any question, Ms. Molina?
No, sir.
Any question, Mr. Langlois?
No, Your Honor.
Any question, Mr. Edelman?
No, Your Honor. I'll begin drafting dismissal forms for the other 3 cases.
Very good. Ms. Molina,
Yes, sir.
do you happen to know an older gentleman by the name of Henry Molina?
No, sir.
Okay, good. It's a test of my memory, but I went to grade school with a young fellow named Henry Molina.
No, I don't have any uncles or nothing like that.
All righty. Very good. Then this concludes your particular case. Thank you, and Mr. Langlois, thank you for your patience and for getting these matters taken care of.
Thank you, Your Honor. Primo.